The Denver Broncos have a meeting tomorrow with a savvy NFL veteran who, if we sign him, puts a lot of water on the Mel Kiper latest mock draft and who he has the Denver Broncos picking. Tom Brady makes some comments that make us question the Sean Payton statement earlier in the year about calling dudes who used to play in the league. That and so much more in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben, born and raised in Westminster, Colorado. During COVID, my wife and I relocated to Michigan to be closer to her family, and it's just a lot more cost effective than the prices in the Denver metro area. And so I miss talking Broncos every day with my boys at work, and so I started this YouTube channel. If you like talking Broncos and you like that kind of content, it helps me out a ton if you would like and subscribe. Let's dive into the news of the day. News of the day is that the Denver Broncos tomorrow are having an official visit with a free agent cornerback named Levi Wallace. He has played for both the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Undrafted dude, played opposite of Minka Fitzpatrick at Alabama for a bunch of years. Very good, talented corner. And if we end up signing him, I think that really is going to put some water on Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft, which has the Denver Broncos going the least popular option. In my community poll the other day, I said, what should the Denver Broncos do at 12? And the least popular option was best player available. Seems like everybody wants to get the quarterback, either trading up for him or trading back for him. They do not want to end up picking someone at 12. And I think we'd be pretty disappointed if we picked a cornerback at 12, because that means Riley Moss, who a lot of people had graded high and high expectations for. We've just drafted a lot of corners recently, and if we can't make them work, kind of shows that maybe George Payton isn't the drafter that we all had thought. So I think we'd all be disappointed if we ended up drafting a corner at 12. The corner they have us drafting seems like an absolute stud, crazy fast. He broke a record. I think the thing I saw here, he had a 4 interception game, which was crazy. And he bench pressed 225 21 times, which is insane for a dude who's 6 foot. What is he? 6 foot, $190? Yeah, 195. So crazy strong, crazy fast. Ran almost 24 miles an hour when they tracked him on GPS, which is crazy, crazy cool. This would be awesome to have, but it's like, man, we got our cornerback 1. You can never have too many corners, but I would be disappointed if we ended up drafting him. So I think the fact that the Denver Broncos have a meeting tomorrow with a proven corner, Levi Wallace, coming in, I think that's a good sign. So he was undrafted out of Alabama, but he had a lot of production at Alabama. He was his pre-draft rankings had him as an undrafted free agent, which is what ended up happening with him. But at Pittsburgh, if you go through his PFF grades, he has some decent grades. If you look at the 2019 season, he was graded a 68. He had some seasons that were lower than that. And then if you look at Pat Surtain last year was graded a 66. And so you see that he has the physical traits of, being that opposite of Pat Surtain. We got McMillian, who played way over what any of us thought he would last year. And I feel really good about Surtain and McMillian. But I also feel really, really good about Riley Moss in his, last year after drafting him. We thought he was going to be a starter right away. You heard Vance Joseph rave about him, Sean Payton rave about him. We had really high hopes, and he had an injury that took him out the entire he couldn't do any of the offseason workouts, and he didn't get to play in a single preseason game. And so as a rookie coming into a new system and not having a preseason, that's a real hindrance. And so they slowly worked him in towards the end of the year. And he did have some moments on special teams where you saw it click, and he was a really productive special teams player. One of the highest grade RAS guys, that relative athletic score. He is crazy fast and very, very athletic. So my hope, and I think the best case scenario for the Denver Broncos, is that we end up signing tomorrow Levi Wallace, and we go with him and Riley Moss. I think we can make that work. I would be disappointed if the Denver Broncos do indeed go the route of picking a corner at 12. I just think there are other holes on this roster that we have to pick. So if we're going best player available, let's get the best edge rusher. Let's get the best offensive tackle so that we could move on from Garrett Bowles if we had to, or let's get Brock Bowers. Let's get a tight end who can set us up for years and years to come, and then hope our quarterback comes, if that is indeed what we are going to do. So looking here, there another thing that came out just this today as well is that an anonymous AFC source, and not just like this is an AFC executive source, but wanted to remain nameless. And so sure, Chad Jensen could be making this all up. But what he said is he would be very, very surprised if Sean Payton ran into this upcoming season with the current quarterback room we have, which is Jarrett Stidham, who's an amazing griller. If you watch yesterday's video, we showed a little bit. He showed up on the Meat Kitchen YouTube channel and made a delicious smash burger that I made tonight for my family. I don't have that cool Traeger flat top, but I made the exact same burger, and it was delicious. So if he can make burgers, he can make this offense work, right? But this AFC exec who wanted to remain nameless said there's no way that Sean Payton rolls into the season with just Ben DiNucci and Jarrett Stidham, obviously. But he also doesn't think that we're going to reach for a quarterback at 12. Maybe if JJ is still on the board at 12, you could see that happening. But he does not think that we would take Bo Nix or Michael Penix at 12. Instead, we would hope they are there later on. So that's a risky move to make, right? So here we are at 12. Obviously, a lot of the big boards have like Michael Penix and Bo Nix as second-round talents. And so if you're the Broncos and you're picking your quarterback, who's a second-round dude, with the 12th overall pick, it just shows that's a risky move, because if they flame out, then you didn't get the best player available. And so some are saying, hey, let's try to trade back and hope that one of those dudes falls. Well, the worry becomes, we know the Vegas Raiders need a quarterback. We know Seattle probably needs a quarterback. You could even see a world where the Rams might want a quarterback if they want, Stafford isn't going to be playing forever. And so are they going to be trying to tool up? There's also rumors that the Dallas Cowboys might indeed want a quarterback, with Dak set to hit free agency next year. So if you're trading back, it's a really smart move, and we could come up like being brilliant if the guy Sean wanted all along, we get at 24, 25, 26. But the big risk there is like, what if you trade back and then the guy you were hoping for isn't there? That's a very, very big risk. Looking here, this is what I was talking about, that the best player available on the board is the option that we want. Our community here wants the least, followed closely here by the next thing we want the least is trading back. Instead, the bulk of us want to take the risk and just say, hey, if we know that we want Penix or we want Bo Nix, let's take him at 12. Let's not even risk the fact that we might lose him. And I think there's a lot of merit to that argument as well. Something that's been absolutely running through my mind, and I made a video on this, was Sean Payton's comments at the league meeting where he said, hey, we're still calling people who are playing in the league or guys who have played in this league. And I went through some guys who have recently retired, and who might that be? This last sentence here, or have played in this league. And then Tom Brady still has not been approved to be an NFL owner, and he showed up on a podcast today called Deep Cut, and they asked him, hey, would you ever want to come in and play if a quarterback loses if a team loses their starting quarterback, would you ever want to come in and take that team to the playoffs? And he said, I'm not opposed to it. We know Tom Brady left football to work on his marriage. Well, his marriage is over, and he ran a 40 this year faster than he ran it when he was actually coming out of the University of Michigan. I know he can always throw the ball between the ears. He's one of the smartest players to ever do it. And we know that the Miami Dolphins were fined a draft pick for collusion because the Miami Dolphins had a plan to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady. They had figured it all out that they were going to go to the Miami Dolphins. So we know Sean loves this dude. How cool would it be? A commenter on one of my last videos said, how cool would it be if we draft Bo Nix and the mentor for Bo Nix is Sir Thomas Brady? So that could be absolutely insane. He said he is not opposed to coming back, and it seems as if the NFL has been dragging their feet as to allowing him to purchase the share of ownership from the Las Vegas Raiders. So that has not happened yet. Roger Goodell was asked about it and said that that was progressing. When he is an NFL owner, he's not going to be obviously able to play for the Denver Broncos. So is the fact that that has not been approved yet, does that hint that Tom Brady could come back? So he's not opposed to it. We know Sean Payton loves him. He hasn't become an NFL owner yet. Crazier things have happened. I'm not saying I think that would happen, but it could be pretty cool to have the quarterback of the future for the Denver Broncos learning from one of the greatest to ever do it. Before we hop out of here, I'm curious from all of y'all. We got the draft in just like 2 weeks from right now. It's amazing, and I hope you're all going to be here watching it with me. My question for you is, what is your favorite Denver Broncos draft pick of all time? As I've been thinking through this, obviously Von Miller was an incredible draft. I was so excited that we got him at 2, but that's too popular of a pick. So I think the choice I will make, because he had 0 off the field issues, is Demaryius Thomas. Do you remember? I think 2010 draft, we drafted Demaryius Thomas. He was the first wide receiver off the board, and all the mocks had Golden Tate above him, Des Bryant above him, and we picked him in the 20s somewhere, I think 20 or 22 or something like that. And you just talk about the best on the field dude, the best off the field guy, and a guy that a lot of people were sleeping on and didn't have as a first rounder. And that was one of those moves that Josh McDaniels actually hooked us up, right? And that ended up playing out very well for us. I'm excited to see what you think, and I'm excited as we go along this process to be watching with all y'all 2 weeks from right now. Don't miss it, because Broncos country, we are gonna giddy up. Oh, I was lined up.